All right, let's see if we can get Pat Winchester in here. Whoops.
Hold on a second, Charles.
Okay.
I gotta try and get my headset to connect here.
Okay.
One moment. Can you hear me?
Yep. How you doing, bud?
Perfect. Good, and you?
Good. But, how'd your, fair, thing go out with, getting shows for, Storm?
Good, good. We managed, we booked 4 shows on site, and we've got about 4 more that took contracts back to the boards, their fair boards. So I'm assuming, or
Uh-oh.
I'm going to anticipate at least probably 2 or 3.
Oh.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. We had a little, audio issue.
Yeah, I'm coming through the mountains a little bit here down in Pennsylvania, so
Okay.
we've got good service now, but if in case it goes in or out, that's probably why.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I gotta. There we go. But yeah, I'm excited about this year. How about you?
Yeah, we're starting to get some momentum going and get some ambition, and starting to work on the truck and starting to work on the hauler when weather permits. And just I've been dealing with some health issues the last couple months with a back problem and a shoulder problem, so we've been on the mend pretty good. So we're starting to get back into the swing of things and making some things happen.
Yeah, I remember you were sick during Bloomsburg. You drove really good though. You really kicked a lot of butt, even though you were really sick.
Yeah, I had that had set in. I had a pretty gnarly summer cold going on that surfaced about the week after I got back from Missouri, and just it was miserable. I haven't had a cough that bad in so long, and the dust and whatnot in Bloomsburg didn't help at all. We were coughing and hacking like crazy, so.
Yeah, and
I was glad we did as well as we did for not feeling well. So.
Yeah. I also remember. I remember seeing your truck smoking throughout the last turn of the Bloomsburg course. Was there any issue with the motor at all?
No, motor wasn't hurt. The issue we had, and we actually remedied it shortly after that, was we run a crankcase evac system that uses the exhaust to pull a negative pressure on the crankcase and help the ring seal. The problem with Bloomsburg was when you come back over the jump, it actually would slosh oil up into that, and the exhaust was pulling enough pressure on everything on the valve covers where it sucked a little oil into the exhaust. And I run Brad Penn 20W50. And that stuff smokes like a freight train when it gets in the exhaust. So it wasn't hurt. We didn't have any issues. But it kills the mosquitoes really well when that happens. So, but since then I had to build a custom kind of an oil separator for the evac system. So once we got that on and employed that, it pretty much took care of the whole issue. In Indy, we did hurt the motor in Indy, so, but it was here nor there. There really wasn't anything we could do about that. We just had to run it.
But that was pretty much the last race of the season, though, right?
Yeah, Indy was it for us. So we really didn't care what the outcome was or the condition of the truck. If we had to shovel it in a trailer, I mean, basically all I brought home that was straight after that deal was the steering wheel. So, and that was even questionable. I haven't double checked that, but we piled it up in Indy pretty hard twice. So we were kind of out for blood that weekend, and we weren't pulling any punches, and gave it all we had. So we left it all on the track for sure.
And you rolled over in Lima, if I'm not mistaken, right?
We caught fire in Lima.
Caught fire?
We actually had an oil line failure. Something I've never had to deal with before. I've ran the same brand of hose for years, and it actually failed. Sprayed hot oil onto the exhaust, and it went up like a Roman candle. So, luckily, my crew chief is pretty quick to the draw with getting on site. But we run a halon system in the truck, the fire suppression system. So it started coming up, and when it started to get into the cab, I pulled the ripcord on that. We were lucky to have it extinguish everything with minimal damage. But I mean, still, it took us out for the weekend. We were done, so we just called it at that point. Packed our gear and went home and got ready for Missouri, which was the following weekend.
How did you like last year as far as the season went? I know you said you were sick and had that fire. You there? Uh-oh. Oh, we might be losing them. Yeah, we lost them. There we go. 1 second. Oh, crap. Okay, you back? I think.
There, bud?
Yep, I'm here. Got you back. I know you said you're going into the mountains.
Yeah, for a minute. I'm coming up. Yeah, why don't you give me a couple minutes to get through this? I'll message you when I get over the mountain here, and we'll pick up where we left off.
Okay, what I can do is I actually have a video of your truck running in the background, so we can turn the audio on for that for a couple of minutes, and then bring you back. All right,
That's fine.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, thanks, Charles.
Yep, see ya. Okay. Do you guys want to watch some of Pat Winchester's runs during Tuff Trucks? I'll turn the audio on for it.
Winchester into the fast four right now, with the fastest overall margin. He's going to go ahead and finish on the front here.
It all always ends up as with a positive outcome, but it's stuff you got to handle on the fly, and you got to keep everybody happy in the meantime. And I've had it where I honestly wind up kind of taking it on the chin sometimes, where I've wound up paying out of my pocket to reimburse fees for people just so that, the racers are happy. Because when it boils down to it, you got to keep your racers happy. If they're not happy, then you don't have a show. So that's kind of the name of the game as far as that goes. So, yeah, I mean, you run into other little stuff. I mean, you get into problems with, we've been on venues and they don't have a water truck, or the water truck, is a one-shot wonder and you need more and you can't get it, or something along those lines. And there's the little hiccups of, trucks breaking. This last season was probably one of the worst seasons we had as far as carnage on trucks. I mean, we had 2 trucks flat get totaled out throughout the year, due to just unfortunate occurrences on the track and things like that. But I mean, that's the name of the game. It's kind of one of those deals where I've always said, if you can't deal with basically taking your whole race truck and throwing it in a scrap pile at any given time, you should probably take up a different sport.
Yeah.
Because that's what it boils down to. At any given time, your number can come up and your truck's jump. Not much you can do about it.
Yeah. How was last season for you? Despite being sick and the fire last year, I think that was the last question before we got cut off with you in the mountains.
Yeah. Overall, I was very happy. Not so much with the season, but with how the truck performed. We did a lot of changes this last winter on the truck and on the motor and things like that. And actually all that worked 100% in harmony, which I was very pleased with. It made it more driver friendly and it reacted better to my input as a driver to it. As far as the overall season goes, on my personal end, the season was a dumpster fire, to put it lightly. it was probably the worst season we've ever had as far as financially and as far as just damage to the truck.
Yeah.
Some of it being my fault, some of it not being my fault. But I mean, sometimes you wind up taking it on the chin. We had a rough go early in the season. Truck had a good showing at the season opener where we were kind of figuring things out in Brookville. Then we went to Lima and the truck was running great. We actually had a transmission seal go on us in qualifying. We got it fixed on the spot. We were fortunate enough to have, a couple locals came through. I got on a couple forums and kind of threw out the 911 that we needed some seals. And a dude showed up to the fence and brought us parts there and wouldn't charge me for them, wouldn't take any money. So we're blessed to have people that are out there that are still good racers that are willing to help people out. But we got that fixed, and then it resurfaced our fire issue in the final round of qualifying, and that ended our weekend there. And then we had an incident in Missouri where we tore the truck up pretty good that weekend, and we
Uh-oh.
for Lima for Bloomsburg.
Okay, you're back. We almost lost you again. But,
sorry about that. I actually had somebody trying to call me. I declined the call, though. So
that's all right.
So anyways, long story short, I mean, we're happy with how the truck was, just our luck wasn't there as far as the results this season. But next year's a new year, or this year's a new year, and we're hoping to come out on top in a better way all around. So, fingers crossed.
I bet you're excited for next year, but is there anything new for the truck this upcoming season?
It's funny because we actually were having to redo a good portion of the rear chassis because we twisted it up pretty good in Indy when we wrecked it. So we're having to shove a bunch of frame around and move a bunch of stuff, and we actually sawed it off right behind the rear cage, and we're redoing the whole thing from there back just because it was due for it. But then I kind of put that in concrete when I cartwheeled it / gave it a triple gainer or whatever you want to call it on the finish line in Indy when I was racing Mark. So we're doing that. We're doing a couple little things with the motor. We've actually got a new machinist on board for this season. A very good friend of mine out of North Carolina, Ricky Fred. He owns RF Engines down there. He took on the whole task of freshening the motor this year on the off season. So that's down there getting all buffed up and cleaned up and ready to go. Rings and bearings and rods and all that fun stuff. So other than that, I mean, a couple little ignition changes, but we're not making a ton of changes to how the chassis works or the motor or anything like that this year. We've got motor plans for 2020. It just isn't necessary right now. So those parts are sitting on the shelf ready to go for 2020. A little more power for that, but as of right now, I feel we've got enough to be competitive in the class. So.
Yeah, I remember during Bloomsburg, you were beating Adam, what is it, Blanker? Adamosity.
Adam Blankenhorn, yeah.
Yeah, yep. Blankenhorn. He was, you were beating him during the qualifying, but
yeah, we had a good run going in Bloomsburg. It's just too bad that it was my own fault that we kind of took ourselves out of the running on that. I feel we had the truck to beat that weekend, but I mean, made a wrong turn and left my lane and got in front of Mark, and I had to disqualify myself out of that deal because there were a few people in the stands that saw it, but none of the officials saw it. So, it's a matter of integrity at that point. As much as I wanted to wreak havoc on the rest of the bracket, you got to do what's right in the end. And Mark's my teammate, and you just can't do that regardless of who you're running against. You got to be honest, and that's what it all boils down to.
Yeah, and what exactly is your truck? Is it a Bronco chassis, like a Bronco frame?
I know you have started life as a '79 Bronco. It was actually, I purchased it as an old chassis that was used to be ran with a group with a promoter called Mr. Mud, way back in the 90s and the early 2000s. I raced it 1 year with the chassis that it had, or with the setup that it had. Then we actually, I correct myself, a year and a half with the chassis that it had, and then we cut everything off, started with a bare frame, and we built our own. But it hasn't been all burritos and strippers along the way. I mean, we spent probably 5 or 6 years just figuring a chassis out and getting it to do what we want. It was a total, I mean, we were lucky for years if we even made the show when it came to the jamborees and whatnot. So it was a lot of settling in and figuring out our niche with it and getting the tuning right and all that. So changes along the way. You know, guys think that it's an overnight deal, but I mean, you don't see what goes on behind the scenes and the frustration and everything that happens along the way. So I like to compare it to you see a duck on the water. Everything's nice and calm on the surface and everything looks great, but that duck's paddling like crazy underneath trying to get where he needs to go and figure everything out.
Yeah.
It's very similar. I mean, it's a never-ending battle.
All right. I think the nerves are setting in a little bit for me, but I think I might wrap it up a while. But thanks for letting me give you a call today, and
yeah, no problem.
But yeah, the nerves are setting in with doing this podcast for the first time, so I think I am gonna wrap it up a while, and I'm really looking forward to 2019 this season, and hopefully I'll see you out there at Bloomsburg again. And I'll be running a modified this year, hopefully. Really looking forward to that. And but I'll let you go a while. Thanks for dropping in, Pat. I think yeah, I lost the connection. Alright, thanks for dropping in, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Hopefully I can do a little more of them, and hopefully do them even longer next time. But did you guys enjoy it? Anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up a while and end the live stream. So thanks for dropping in, everyone.